Yeah. We can do this. This is going to be fine. Maybe? All right. Hello. Hello. Hi. So I'm going to get comfortable a second up here because I have a lot of things, and I don't know how far away this needs to be. About there. Okay. Cool. Okay. So, I have been painting walls since I graduated and since before I graduated. And I've been painting them as a job, as a full-time job for just about 6 years. And nearly all of those walls have been client-based, commissioned work. I treat this as a business. There's baby Emily holding my business license and my fictional name certificate, which was way more impressive than the business license to get. And so trying to get work like this, not just doing it for fun, means that, especially when you're starting out, like any other freelancer, you take pretty much every request you get, right? Like, the answer to everything is yes. So the question of like, can you paint my logo? Yes. Can you paint a rainbow? Yes. Can you paint this rainbow without using a projector and trying to draw really perfect seven curved lines using string and markers and stuff? Yes. Sure. Can you hand letter this entire poster of words in my kitchen? Yes. Can you fix this old sign? Sure, I guess so. Can you paint a flag on a barn? Sure. Oh, that was great. We have another barn. Can you paint my logo? Without really painting my logo, I need a different design, but it should look a lot like my logo, but kind of different. Oh, same job. Not a logo, but kind of like a logo, but we already have one. Go for it. Same job. Not our logo, but still kind of a logo. Please come up with that also. And then, okay, so you start with those, and then you get ones with a little bit more meat on the bone, right? Like a little bit more interesting stuff going on. Can you design a set for a moving panel set for an opera? Can you design a mural that can be painted only by volunteers, and in a day? Sure, yeah, we can figure that out. Can you fill my sunroom with a garden, but my sunroom doesn't really have a lot of wall space? We'll figure that out, that's fine. And can you paint a little girl in a tree reading? And so some of these have that like very nice structure to them, right? Like kind of what you get in school assignments where you have like parameters and a space and it's very direct. And that is great. That gives me a lot to work with because I pursued these commission-based things and these client-based things because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to paint, right? Like, I had kind of a hesitancy about putting anything out that like didn't already have a prompt. And so this was very useful. The intimidation of the blank page is real, right? I think we can all relate to that. So it suited me pretty well. And let's see. As I got into more complex designs, I created sort of a very strong opinion about having my work being grounded in reality and teaching something. And usually that meant I needed to learn something, which makes for a lot of really great individual pieces. Like all of these different projects and all of these different spaces look very different. So it doesn't make a very complete portfolio. And so I would keep getting very different, very unique inquiries. And I really leaned into that process of like digging into the subject and asking a lot of questions in order to find my own interest in what, the client's request is maybe unrelated to what I care about. Maybe you can also relate to that sometimes. So I'll just share a couple of those examples. This this little boy wanted a fire truck in his bedroom, and I was like, cool, I can paint a fire truck, that's easy, but like which fire truck? And it turns out, upon a little bit of research, all fire trucks are like commissioned by individual firehouses, so you don't just look up like Honda Civic fire truck, you like, each one is different. So I had to go find a fire truck. So I went to the very conveniently timed firemen's parade in West Point and watched a whole bunch of fire trucks go by and met some retired firefighters and got to know this truck, which is named Amelia, and I collected all these different facts about the whole thing, and I got to ride in the parade. And then a local bank came to me and asked if I would create some portraits of the community to represent their engagement with the new community that they were moving into. And I was like, I know of this community. Let's see how I should represent them. And by the way, muralists get a lot of requests to represent a community, even though we are one person. And maybe know or don't know a whole lot about that space or those people. And I take that very seriously. I think that's really important for anybody with that request to take very seriously and do a lot of research and personal investigation to like what that community is and what they need to see and to reflect themselves back into it. So I went around and talked to all of the businesses in the few streets around this new bank location and asked people questions about what they found iconic of their area, what they, thought of as their community. And most of them had no idea. Like, what would you say if you were asked that question about like your very personal neighborhood? Most of them, it's just like, it's where they go to work, it's fine. But they would list things like the joggers and the streetlights and specific buildings and specific businesses that had been there for like 20, 30, 40 years. And they didn't know that all of them were saying the same things. So you get to start relating those all together and you reflect the community back for it to see itself. Another example is a local grocery store, Thompson's, got asked me to create a painting to fill their new space and show just the bounty of local produce. And so I talked to them about where they get that produce and what kinds of things are most popular for them to sell. And I went and I visited Tricycle Garden and took a lot of pictures and interviewed them and then convinced a lot of customers to be hand models for me. And so everything in this painting is based on the actual space that it's supposed to illustrate. And then things got even more complex, and I got even more like meaty prompts from clients. Still very simple in some ways, but this client requested 5 murals of Hindu gods painted in the style of Gustav Klimt. Of course. And mind you, not my style, right? Like, that would be too easy. And also, I still wouldn't really know what that means, because I'm still kind of like very much taking on whatever the client gives me and doing as much as I can with that, like really using them to start me off. So I do a lot of research into 3 specific Hindu gods, and I learn all about them. I do a deep dive into Klimt's colors and mark making and subjects and create these murals. I even make an informative list of different iconography featured on each wall, so that later, once I'm gone, the teachers and the students in those rooms can still take things from these murals that I put into them to make sure that they are deeper than just the pretty image, right? And then this is one of the most important ones, I think. I was asked by my grandparents' retirement community to create paintings for their 20th anniversary, reflecting the community and the values that they hold, which was a little unnerving because, for one thing, again, I'm not part of that community. I am a little bit. We go and visit. We know some of the people there. But really to collect all of their personalities and attitudes, I would have to do a lot of research. And so I did. I did 25 hours of interviews with staff and residents and collected photographs of them and took some photographs of them. And the result is these 6 paintings that ended up, I think, and to the response of the community, reflecting who they are. So, again, through all of this, I am reflecting, right? There's the stereotypes of the creative that are like, you are, living this intense, tortured life, and art is your outlet, and you're just like releasing your art onto the canvas, or you're like wild and free-spirited, and you just like create, and you just do it, and it's great. Or storytellers, people that are like making these world-building, fantasy, character-driven graphic novels, and all of like that is what I compared myself to a lot. A lot of my friends are amazing people that do that kind of thing. And so I still really feel like kind of a mirror or a lens at best, and at worst, like kind of hollow, right? Like, what am I really putting into this besides the process of the research and the effort? Hold on, please hold. TBD what I'm putting into it. Okay. Yeah, so then at that point, 2 things happened at almost the same time. First, I painted the mural version of a visual joke about strip club signs, which which some of you have seen. This was really, it was an idea that I've been picking at in my sketchbooks for over a year, taking girls, strip club signs at face value, like, girls, right? Like, they're just really great, like, in general. Girls are awesome. And so just like, that was just sort of like, as I'm drawing and as I'm writing in notebooks, that would just come out here and there. And when I got the opportunity to get a commissioned wall where the client actually said, do whatever you want, which is rare. It's really rare for me. I don't know. There's other muralists that maybe get that. I don't. So I tried this out, and it got a pretty good reception. The second thing that happened, really like a week later, well, hold on. First we had November 2016. Then a couple weeks after I painted that mural, we had the Women's March. And this was a real turning point for me. I thought I didn't have anything to say, and I realized, oh my God, there's a lot that needs to be said, right? I think that maybe all of us felt that way. This was a big wake-up call for everybody, and that I personally had made a lot of assumptions about, like, I don't have a lot to say, and also, if I did, to what end? Like, there's a lot of people saying a lot of the things that I think already, like, everybody pretty much gets it, right? Like, I don't have a lot of leverage here. That's okay. But this changed my mind a little bit, and I didn't know exactly what or how I needed to speak up, but I knew that I have a giant platform, and that anything that I used that platform for needed to get a lot more intentional. So I took this little seed of an idea that I had been like worrying at and picking at, and I could say, like I could try and push anything into the walls that I'm painting, and I might as well start with this thing that had been, again, like kind of getting a good reaction, and it felt like it was coming from a good place, and it felt relevant, but it still felt like kind of a visual pun to me. But you know what that's kind of similar to is all of these client prompts that are like kind of basic, right? And that like I don't know a lot about. So I turned my whole process back to my own idea and started really digging into like what are my influences? Like what is the what is the thing that makes this stick in my head? And I looked at the artists and other muralists and I don't know, like Tumblr in general and painters on Instagram and like all of these different things that were contributing to the way that it seems like women are viewed and the way that they are portrayed. So doing all this questioning, and then I started painting murals. I started painting murals that are monuments that celebrate the wonderful variety of ways that there are to live in this world as a female identifying person. I'm just trying to show the disparity of this is how we show and talk about women as commodities, as bodies, as objects of desire, as helpers, as accessories, as girls for adults, like we're eternal children, as generally in a lot of art or advertisements as vapid, slender, pale youth. And this is how women are. We're karate students and yoga teachers and rappers and grandmothers and activists and painters and police officers and youth leaders and dozens of other broad array of bodies and lifestyles. And there were a few things that were important about the way I chose to do this. All of these women are real people. They are submitted by members of their own communities. They live in the places where the walls are painted. I'm trying to go back to this idea of turning a community's face onto itself to show everybody what you look like. And so I've painted 17 or 18 murals in this series so far. I've drawn maybe 200 women submitted, whose pictures have been submitted by themselves or their friends or their families. This project was featured in something like 15 publications. Dozens and dozens of people have taken pictures in front of these walls and written me messages about how they find the work uplifting and important, whether it's something that they see on their way to work or whether they've sought it out. And it's a success, right? Like, that's cool. But more than that success, I've also kind of realized that now I have my own thread to pull on from my own thoughts and my own values. I took my own values and ideas more seriously, and I treated them with the respect and the curiosity and the wonder that I had been using to elevate my clients' ideas. I plan to continue using this energy to investigate and explore with more intention. I would encourage you to claim that same open-minded questioning attitude and turn your questions and that attitude of investigation and like trying to see your own ideas from many different angles, turn that inward and look at your interests and the parts of you that you take for granted, like as if you'd never seen them before. Take a new look at them, and then go and use your power for good.